happened last night. A lot of Yidden sell tickets, right? Sport tickets, right? Guy comes over to me today. He says he's in the koil in Mishifa Akwe. Comes over to me today and he says, "Am I allowed to do work before davening?" So I said, "No, you're not. You can't work before davening." So what happens if it's a major? It's going to be a major gain. I said, if it's a major gain, so you say all the brachas and you say Kriya Shema. He says, what happens if it's before Alois? I said, no, before Alois is the middle of the night. What's the problem? He says, well, at 2:00 in the morning, the Nets traded, what's the clown's name? He said, the prices for the tickets for the Suns went up so much overnight. So the few Yidden that were up were busy texting. And he says, never guys who had tickets. This guy Grada has Phoenix Suns tickets. He said they went to sleep and the tickets were going for $20. All of a sudden they wake up, they're all sold because all the Yidden bought it out, and now the tickets are going for $70, $80. He says these guys, they went to sleep and woke up, it was a disaster. So I'm saying, I don't know if that's called keeping that price anyways. Like if they all of a sudden get a team, can you raise the price? Sounds like according to Chassid and Rishonim, you cannot raise the price, right? That's funny that yeah. Elio, did you buy season tickets? Is he on?
No, I didn't buy season tickets. It's usher to go to basketball games. So what am I going to do with it?
No, it's a sellout business.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm not in the ticket business. I got enough other.
All you had to do, Elio, is to flip it to somebody in Waterbury. You just had to buy them and flip them to somebody.
I know. I actually, 10 people texted me in the middle of the night.
Yeah?
Yeah. So. Not for tickets, just on the Mazel Tov wishes on the.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. On that note, so I don't know how that would work with business with MS or not. Yeah. Okay. So now we're on Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. So we hit record, right? Yeah, he hit record.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So we were saying. So we said this brilliant guy, is standing in the cemetery, and then he decides to make himself a nazir. So we had a machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, whether he's a nazir, it's not chal because he's standing in the cemetery, or Reish Lakish, at least initially, said he's not a nazir at all. And if he doesn't, when he leaves the cemetery and becomes tahor, when he does the whole tahor process, he has to reiterate that he's a nazir, otherwise he's not a nazir. That's what we thought. So based on multiple questions, the Gemara now changes Reish Lakish's pshat and said Reish Lakish is maskim that he is a nazir. It's just a matter if Reish Lakish holds, he's going to get malkus, right? So Rabbi Yochanan holds he's going to get malkus, meaning if he takes a haircut or drinks wine when he's in the cemetery or even outside the cemetery, since he is a nazir, he's not allowed to have it. And the Reish Lakish holds not. So that's what we're holding right now. So and then Stama Kasha that we should have discussed yesterday, we will discuss it now. Why is this not a lav she'ein by Maisa? Right? We know that a lav she'ein by Maisa doesn't get malkus, right? Because you didn't do a Maisa. So this guy didn't do a Maisa, right? What Maisa did he do? He's standing in a cemetery. If you go and you hold it, he's going to get malkus. He didn't do a Maisa. He's just standing there, right? So okay, that's something that we'll see if we have time to handle this whole thing. But that's something to keep in mind. The Maisa, if you hold it, he gets malkus for the tumah. He didn't do a Maisa. He's just standing in a cemetery. Okay, either way. So then the Gemara asks, Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. So Rabbi Yochanan asked Reish Lakish, Misha Nazar. Somebody who is a Nazir. Who bebeis akvaris, and he's in a beis akvaris, right? Meaning now the Gemara is going to ask two kashas, the same kashas that it asked in the previous yesterday's daf. It's going to ask the same kashas, right? Just it's going to be on this new pshat and Reish Lakish. Oh, there's another thing. So We just changed Reish Lakish's pshat, right? So now it's Rabbi Yochanan asking Reish Lakish. So the Rush here says, what's going on? We changed Reish Lakish's pshat. So how could Rabbi Yochanan be asking him? Meaning, which pshat are we going with here? Right? Meaning, initially we could say Rabbi Yochanan asked Reish Lakish because we had the Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish had a machlokes. So Rabbi Yochanan asked kashas to Reish Lakish, Givaldi, right? But now we changed Reish Lakish, right? And so now, how could be Rabbi Yochanan's asking kashas to Reish Lakish? So the Rosh says it's not really Rabbi Yochanan asking kashas to Reish Lakish. This is what the kashas would be from Rabbi Yochanan to Reish Lakish, but it's not actually that Rabbi Yochanan is asking Reish Lakish. Yeah. So, anyways, so again, the Mishnah says, "Mishnah Nazir Uba Beis HaKoros." So the guy's a Nazir and he's in the Beis HaKoros. Even if he stood in the Beis HaKoros for 30 days, ain't Eilen Lemin Minyan. He's not part of the minyan, meaning not minyan, meaning it. The way you teach it is he's not. It doesn't count towards his Nazir days. Veini may be carbon, Veina may be carbon tumah, and he does not bring a carbon for being tamei. Why? Because, like we said, he has to be tahor first in order to bring a carbon tumah. So carbon tumah hu delay maisi, ha milka lakiela. So it's only a carbon tumah that he doesn't bring, right? But he's going to get malkus, right? So you see from our Mishnah's mashma that he does get malkus. Akash and Reish Lakish. Our answer is no, but didn't who the listening any look. Really, he should have said that he's not going to get malkus. So, but he wanted to use a different lashon of tumah. Ela Mishnah b'kabayla nisnei seifa yatzav v'nichnas oil lemin aminyan maybe carbon tumah, because in the seifa the Mishnah had to teach us that if the guy leaves the cemetery, goes to the Beis HaMikdash, becomes tahor for 7 days, and then after 7 days he comes back to the cemetery, then he has to bring a carbon tumah. So since it said in the Sefer he has to bring a carbon tumah, so the Reish also said he doesn't have to bring a carbon tumah. But it means that he's also not going to get malkus. So Tana Reish ain't maybe carbon tumah. He doesn't bring a carbon tumah. Okay. Then the Gemara asks again the same kasha. From the same as before, from the same as yesterday. Tashma ain bein tamei l'shenazir ain bein tamei shenazar. There's no difference between somebody who was tamei who became a nazir, the nazir tahor, to a nazir tahor shenitma that became tamei. Ella shetamei shenazar shvi shelo oila min aminyan. Because a tamei who was a nazir, his seventh day counts, meaning on that seventh day when he had the sprinkling of the Efer Para on him, so that's the seventh day becomes tar, and he also can start that as day one. The Nazir tar shenitma, but a Nazir tar that became tamei ain't shvi shelo min aminyan. His seventh day doesn't count, right? Meaning again, if you have two guys, you have a guy who's tamei and then he becomes a Nazir, and then you have a guy who's a Nazir and becomes tamei. So the guy who's tamei and then becomes a Nazir, so he has to wait his 7 days. And then he gets sprinkled on. That 7th day counts twice for him. It counts as the 7th day of his as tahira days and as day number 1. But the Nazir tahor cannot count that 7th day towards his first day. But mashma, either way, that's the only difference between them. Hala malkus zev shaman. It's mashma that for malkus they're both equal, which means that they both are going to get malkus for becoming tamei. So you see clearly that not like Reish Lakish, that they will get malkus. So Malay, what it means to say is that for haircuts and for wine, obviously, I don't know if that's obvious, but haircuts and wine, they're both equal, right? Meaning they're not equal for tumah, but they are equal for tiglachas and yayin, that they're not allowed to have that. So the Gemara says, "Avalinian malkus mai." But for malkus, so you're saying, okay, so what are you saying? That there's another difference between them? That the guy who was a nazir and then became tamei gets malkus, and the guy that was tamei and then became a nazir, he doesn't get malkus. So why don't you list that as the difference between the two also? So listening, why don't you teach it? So one answers, but takante kamairi, we're only talking about making him into a nazir. What makes him into a nazir? But kulkule like kamairi, but we're not talking about in his kilkul. All right, fine. So Tashima, Now another kasha. Misha haya tamei. A guy's tamei, the nazar, and he became a nazir. Also legaleach v'lishtes yayin. He's not allowed to take a haircut or to drink wine. Vim gilach v'shasa yayin. And if he takes a haircut and he drinks wine, v'nitma l'meisim, and he becomes tamei meis, harezes sovegas arbayin. He gets malkus, right? Which again we had this kasha from yesterday too. So clearly you see in this braysa that he gets malkus for being tamei, for nazir, for drinking wine and for taking haircuts. So tiyufta, it's a tiyufta, and we slug it up, right? So therefore we slugged up Reish Lakish, right? It doesn't say tiyufta the Reish Lakish tiyufta, but that's for Gershon. That's for Gershon. So I don't know exactly what it means, but yeah, fine. But I mean, he slugged up. Okay, next interesting question. Oh, I meant to look up something and I forgot. All right. Boy, Rava had a shayla. Nazir v'hu bebeis hakvaros. If you have a nazir and he's in a beis hakvaros, mao. So what's the din? Boy, shehiyah l'malkus aloi. So we're saying now that according to everybody, this guy who makes himself a nazir when he's in a cemetery, he gets malkus. So what happens if you go over to him and tell him, you better get out of there? Right? So does he, if he waits there for a couple of minutes, that's when he's chayav malkus? Or do we say no, he's chayav malkus right away? Right? Why? Because in the Beis HaMikdash, if a tamei goes into the Beis HaMikdash, so then, or he becomes tamei in the Beis, I'm sorry, if he's tamei, he becomes tamei in the Beis HaMikdash. So then a tamei is not allowed to be in the Beis HaMikdash. So if we tell him to get out and he gets out right away, then then he doesn't get malkus. But if he waits there for a long enough time to bow down and then he decides to leave, then he's going to get malkus. So essentially, Gemara is asking the same thing here. This nazir is in the cemetery, right? And we tell him you better get out, and he hacks around there, right? So then, does he need to wait there a little bit to be chayav, just like this fellow in the Beis HaMikdash, or not? So again, does he need to wait in there in order to be chayav malkus or not? So heichi tell me what's the Gemara says, what's the case? If you told him, hey, you're standing in a cemetery, if you're going to say that you're a nazir now, you're going to be tamei right off the bat. So don't do it. So and he does it anyway. So lameli shehiyah. What do you need to wait for him to be chayav malkus? Nazir my time alay by shehiyah. Right? Why would it be if a nazir walks into a cemetery? Right? You say a nazir walking into a cemetery, you say, don't go into the cemetery, you're a nazir. And he walks in anyways. He doesn't have to be in there for any amount of time. The second he walks in, he's tamei, right? And he's chayav malkus. The kamasri bay. So the reason is that he's chayav malkus, right? Is because you warned him. Hachanami kamasri bay. So here too also you warned him, right? You warned the guy, don't make yourself into a nazir because you're standing in a cemetery, and he does it anyway. So then he's chayav. He's pashut, he's chayav. He doesn't have to wait on Talmud Beis now.
What the guy said he wants to become a nazir? What with all these kinuyim that are relevant? So what could he say that is sra? Like you're at a levaya. Why wouldn't you go with somebody and say don't become a nazir? You know. Why would anybody say that to somebody? Why would somebody go over to somebody by a levaya and say, don't become a nazir? Why?
No, what do you mean? No, the guy said he's gonna become a nazir.
So maybe he became a nazir, that makes him a nazir automatically. We had all these different things that they had.
You mean he said it? I guess it would have to be a case where he said, I'm going to become a nazir. I mean, he already said he's a nazir.
No, I'm saying maybe I'm going to become a nazir. Maybe that's enough to can't be a straw anymore. That's it. You know.
No, but in order to be mechayev and malkus, you need to have hasra. Right.
So I'm saying I don't see how the malkus would the hasra would work. That's what I don't understand.
Right. So you're right. If the guy just tells them he's a nazir, so there won't be no hasra, so he won't be chayev. I think you're 100% right in my understanding. It's the only way to have hasra is he says, you know what? I'm going to make myself I'm so inspired about whatever's death. I'm going to make myself a nazir. And his friend in front of Adam tells him, don't do that, because then you're going to be chayav malkus. That would be, you're right.
He's
That would be the only case.
He's not
Yeah,
doing
but they
anything to be mechayiv malkus. You have to do a braysa to be
We
mechayiv
asked that
malkus,
already,
no?
Rabbi. We asked that. We asked that.
Yeah,
for
I must have missed that.
No, it was right in the beginning before we really started Hakdama. We said, you have a teretz for that?
Okay.
You have a teretz for that?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, you just mechaven to it? You're just mechaven to it?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah, the Mefarshim go wild on this. The Mefarshim go wild on this. How can it be? He didn't do a Maisa, right?
The bottom
just standing there.
Look at the bottom. The bottom Taisa says it, right?
The Marav Miransburg though does not like Taisa Swara at all. He says Swara Chaykihi.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good.
You would not like Taisa.
Could it be maybe it's a thing that it's possible from once he starts walking he becomes a nazir. He can't stand in one place for 30 days.
That's the whole shaila in Malkus about if somebody says something, is that considered a Maisa?
Well, that's
in the Sugya Lashem B'Maisa Lagabe Eid Zayim. I don't think that the Gemara over there. The Gemara is not mashma if you say something.
Yeah, it's
right.
Dibur
Maisa.
It's Dibur Maisa, but I don't think that's what Taisa is saying over here. Taisa is saying some type of chiddush that by making your nizirus and not moving, that's a Maisa. By making your nizirus when you're warned you're going to be a nazir and be a tamei yourself, that's a Maisa. I'm not sure what he means. He's not saying stam your dibur is a Maisa.
Well, because the answer is on your physical body being in the wrong place.
Right, but you didn't do anything. It's still shove out.
But you are by having a physical presence in the Beis Olam, that is the Meiser.
If Shiyaka would a bork be considered a Meiser?
Yeah, because you did something, Baron. You did something. You did the wrong Meiser.
You want it? Well, yeah. You know what, Taka? That's why you don't get an RBI. If you get walked with the bases loaded, you get an RBI?
Yes, you do.
You do? Ah, shoot! I thought I had a good tire. That's not a nice.
You get it.
Oh no!
Serious? You get an RBI for a walk?
Yes, you do, doctor.
Yeah, I guess no. If it's if you get it out,
a walk doesn't break up a no hitter.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not a hit. No, okay,
good.
So
it's not a hit.
So it's not a meiser. It's not a meiser. So
one second, a sack fly is also an RBI, even if there's a no hitter. I'm just saying.
No,
it's not a right.
It doesn't count as an at bat.
That's true, but it's still an RBI.
Is it considered a perfect game? Is it considered a perfect game?
If what? If what?
Parrots, you can't balk.
What are you asking, Parrots? What is your question?
That makes no sense.
What, you can't balk if the pitcher doesn't go to first base?
There has to be somebody on base to get a ball.
Runner who's on base, it affects him. He moves up a base, and you don't know.
Right, because that rule is because it's only negaya if there's a runner on base. It's only negaya because balking could give you an unfair advantage, right, against the runner. We're getting ready for spring training.
But isn't there one where the guy doesn't do the full wind up?
It's the wrong sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rich Yaakov, I heard a chat on from someone on All That this morning that when he walked into the Bishak first, that was the Maisa. They paired together Lamafreya. The walking in was the Maisa, and then afterwards,
but he wasn't a nazir at that time.
I don't know. I know. It wasn't my chat.
Ben Barfman's point would not get malkus with that. No way.
Alaska.
Very good. And
but that's not what Taisa says. That's not what Taisa says either.
Yeah, no, Taisa's
like on Taisa's Asura.
Yeah. I'm looking through my notes. Not my notes. I'm looking through. But yeah, the Ran in the Dorim says that it's the Enochanami is not getting malkus for the tumah. He's only going to get malkus for the haircut and the wine. Right? Okay, whatever. As long
what
as
does that have to do with the sugya? The sugya is talking about the tumah. Isn't the whole sugya on the tumah?
Yeah, so right. So that's why they don't. There's a lot of kashas on that Ran also. Okay, as long as we know the tumult, that's all. As long as you know the tumult, that's the main thing. Either way. So what's the case?
I'm walking out to the bark as a mice. That's all I remember from this.
Good. You know what? It's also good. Right? Ella, listen, I sent you Kiddush Levana last night.
No,
you didn't from the players.
Akiva, that by definition, it has to be mice because he didn't come to a stop. That means he moved.
I agree, Ryan. That's what I said before. He did the wrong mice. So that's what he did.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're good.
That's the definition of it.
Yeah. All right, Ella. So on the top of Amid. So now I can't understand this case, but okay, it's not any different than any other daf. Ella Kagoin Shenichnas Bashida Tevo Migdal. What happened was this guy was being carried in a box. Right.
Zakayin went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That's the case.
Well, there they just have to put it around them. I don't know where that comes from, but this is okay.
Is this a Ryan
didn't
Kaplan
the,
trying
I
to
think,
go to basic first in Muncie?
I saw that guy
maybe.
on El Al plane, the Kohen on El Al plane with the bag around him.
Oh, he put himself in a body bag.
yeah.
You really saw that?
Benny, that was just the guy afraid of COVID.
They showed it a couple years ago.
I give out. Okay, so what happened was with this guy.
Did he eat the meal? I mean, how did he eat the meal?
I don't know.
It's a problem.
Did he ask like kosher bag?
It rings out in my head. I think
Tube
somebody.
feed, Doc. It was a tube feeder.
What if the bag had shadnez in it? What if shadnez in the bag?
Doctor, that guy does not eat any hechsher that's in the El Al plane. It don't matter what it is. He only eats from. If he brought something from his mother in a bag, he ate it. Otherwise, he ate nothing.
He trusts his mother?
Just his mother.
Anyways, okay. So what
his wife gave up on him already. She don't pack nothing for him.
Ella, yeah. Okay, so going Sheniplas B'Shida Tevo Migdal. He went in a box, different types of boxes, right? And he's been carried into the cemetery. So Mamela, the box blocks him.
Does the box have a tefah?
The box doesn't have to have a tefah. That's a whole different. So again, this is the same shaila as part of the shaila with the kahanim going on the plane, etc., etc. Yeah. And what did his friend do? He took the bottom of the box out from under him. Now I don't understand. What is the guy sitting on if he took out the bottom of the box?
He's not. He's on the floor now.
No, he's not. He's not.
Obviously, if
that's what I don't.
No, Yaakov so could have spikes or whatever.
Frame,
like
he's hanging on the
whatever.
That's what I thought. He must be on the frame. He must be dangling on the frame. And this good friend of his, notice that it says his chaveiroi. His friend came and took the right. Isn't there a phrase? Pulled the bottom.
Well, by us, everything is a chaver. The guy who steals from him takes him to best, and he's a chaver. Everybody's a chaver.
I mean, with friends like this.
Right, correct. So I understand. What do you call it? So he's pulled it out from under him.
Maybe it's a box with a fake bottom like the magicians have. And the thing fell out.
Maybe. Yeah. So anyway, so now what? So he's an einus. Right now he's an einus. Right? It wasn't his fault. He didn't pull the thing out from under him.
It wasn't very bright for going into the box to go into basic force.
Why not? He had a good idea. He needed
what?
He needed to be the 10th man in a minyan. I had a call from a cemetery a couple months ago. There was a 10th guy there for one of the guys, somebody's yard site, and he realized he's a kohen. So they're trying to figure out how to get him around to the thing. How thick were the tree branches? Because if the tree branches are not a tefach thick, so then the kohen could go under it. Wow, all sorts of shtick to get this 10th man. So then the shaila was, can they drive him in the car if he keeps the windows and the door closed? Right? Then l'chayra, he's sealed in there. Whatever. These things do come up. But anyways.
And if you're in a box.
But is that good? In the car, it's good?
I'm not sure because it's still open. No?
Could you be part of the menu in the box?
No, once he gets through under the tree, he can come out. All right, whatever it is. So Kigamrin on Shehiyah Beis HaMikdash. So when do we say the Shehiyah is an issue that's in the Beis HaMikdash? But outside the Beis HaMikdash is not an issue. Or maybe it makes no difference. And if the Nazir runs out of the cemetery, I guess he has to go out of his box, right? He gets the people carrying the box to get him out of there ASAP. so then he's not going to be a nazir. But if he stays around, then he's going to be a nazir. But if he stays around, then he's going to become tamei. So the Gemara says teku. Right? It doesn't say tiboy here. It says teku. Right? Okay, fine. Next shiloh.
You know, what about that guy that died in Shayoshev, the worker they sent out all the Kehanim on Purim? Yeah, so is that the same kind of a thing?
Oh, yeah. So that's
they have to get out right away.
Oh, so there's a big shiloh. There's a Ramah, and that's what I meant to look up and I forgot. There's a Ramah. Now let's say there's a kohen in the building, and somebody's nifter. So
hospitals,
right? So let's say the guy. No, this is it happened in the mirror a couple of times when the guy was nifter. You got to tell the kehanim to get out, right? So shiloh is a kohen is in the shower, right? So does he have to run out?
Don't we say,
or can he put on some clothing?
Don't we say that Busha trumps everything?
So that's a question.
You can continue wearing shotness and everything, right?
Yeah, well, not the Reish. So, all right, whatever it is.
By the way, for this Ezra's Nashim, there was a shiloh. If a man has to run out stark naked for Bikoch Nefesh, but a woman's not allowed to. I'm just mentioning it. I don't know. They mentioned that when they made this female Hatzalah. And I'm serious. As a halacha, if something's happening, if a Hatzalah Purim is supposed to seconds count, he's supposed to run out stark naked to save somebody's life, but a woman's not allowed to. So I don't know if that applies to this case, as I think was just square the question about the covered up.
Oh, there's a Ramah about it. There is a Ramah. I just forgot. I just forgot to look it up. I meant to look it up and I totally forgot. I don't remember what he says. Yeah. Also, you can be sealed in a room, right? Yeah, well, these are all the shilas in the hospitals, but the problem is in the hospitals, the air conditioning vents are all connected. So even if you're locked in a room, but the air conditioning vents will let you through. Okay, whatever it is. Yeah. Fine. So now next shilah. This next shilah takes us for another block. So boy Ravashi had a shilah. Nazir, or Nazar, really. V'hu bebeis hakvaros. The guy, he becomes a Nazir when he's in the beis hakvaros. Ton giluach eloi. Does he need to take a haircut or not? Right? Meaning we know that a Nazir becomes tamei. So, and he has to, part of his tahara process for becoming tamei is he has to take a haircut, and he has to be sprinkled with the efer para, etc., etc. So this guy need to do that or not? Again, we're saying that there's no tumah restriction on him. But what about a haircut? When do you need to do a haircut? That's only if it's a tahor nazir who became tamei to come a tamei nizirus, because he made his nizirus, which is a chashivos, he made it tamei. So therefore, part of his tahara process is that he needs to take a haircut. But a guy who's tamei, who then became a nazir, he doesn't have to, because he wasn't really a nazir yet, at least for that, right? Or it makes no difference, right? So again, we just want to know if the guy who was a nazir, who was tamei before he became a nazir, does he need to also shave his hair? So Tashema, Misha Nazir will be basic forest. If a guy's a nazir and he's in the basic forest, if he was there for 30 days, so it doesn't count for him. Meaning it doesn't go for him in the minyan, which we said means he cannot start his nazir days. Maybe carbon tumah, and he doesn't make a carbon tumah. So Gemara's mashma. What's a mashma in the Mishnah? Carbon tumah who do like maisi. The only thing he gets away with is he doesn't have to bring a carbon tumah, but he does need to shave his head. So my answer is no. Matam ka'omar. No, it's saying the braysa is saying, the mishna is saying, what's the reason? Matam and it may be carbon tumah. Why is it that he doesn't bring a carbon tumah? Mishum deloy bay gluche, because he doesn't need to take a haircut. Meaning it's all tied in. Haircuts, like we said this a few times, haircuts are tied to karbonos, right? So therefore, he does not have to take a haircut. So meaning he does not become tamei because he doesn't have to take a haircut. So there's no diak to be made. Fine. So Tashima, we learned in the braysa, ain't bein tamei shenazil and nazir tar shenitma, that there's no difference between a tamei who became a nazir or a nazir tahor who became tamei. Ela tamei shenazir shvi shelai adolamin aminyan. Right? A tamei who became a nazir his seventh day, counts towards day one. His seventh day of the tahara counts as day one towards the nazir, towards the nazir days. The nazir tahor shenitma ein shvi shaloi olam min aminyan. But a nazir tahor, his seventh day does not count towards the nizirus days. He's going to start from the next day. My love, holotuk lachazev is a shavin's mashma that for taking haircuts they're both equal, and the guy that became tamei while he was in the basic forest is going to have to take a haircut. So we say, no, that's not a diak. Loi hola malkus is a shavin. They're equal for malkus, right? Which the Mefarder says, like Rabbi Yochanan, who holds that they're both going to get malkus. So I'm going to ask, but what about haircuts? If this one's going to take a haircut and this one doesn't take a haircut, so listen, so then learn it. We're going through the differences between a nazir who was tamei before he became a nazir and a nazir who became tamei afterwards. So if the difference is about malkus, why don't you say it? So Gemara answers, Tana shvi shaloi b'chol mili. It said what it meant is that his seventh day counts as day one towards his nazir count and everything else that goes along with it, right? Meaning that he has to shave his head and that he has to bring the korbanos, right? So meaning it's just one of the three things that he has to do. Okay, weiter. So Toshima, this is a long raya. This takes us to the bottom of the Amud. So Toshima, ainly ella yemei tumah shein oilin lemin aminyan, right? Well, so we know that if a guy becomes tamei as a nazir, everything goes back to zero. He has to start everything again, right? And we know that the 7 days that he's waiting for the tahara from the tumah, from the tumah's mace, of course, doesn't count towards his nazir count, right? He has to start over after he becomes tahor, after he has the ashes on him, right? So what about a mitzayra? You may chaluta minai. What happens if mitzayra? Chaluta means when he's locked up for another week, right? The way it works with tzaraz is that if there's a potential tzaraz, he gets locked away for a week, and then the kohen checks him again. And when he checks him again and he sees tzaraz, then he locks him up for another week. So that week, if he's a nazir, so we said that stops his nazir count, right? But so you may chaluta. Well, actually, I'm sorry. No, that's the Gemara is asking. Does it stop his count or not? Right. So b'din who the Gemara says it's a din. Should be a din. Umay you may tumah migalech who maybe carbon from when he's when the nazir becomes tamei, he takes a haircut and he brings a carbon. So af you may chaluta migalech maybe carbon. So too when he's locked up, he should also have to take. He takes a haircut and he brings a carbon. And if that's the case, meaning they're similar, that they both have to take haircuts and bring carbonas, so then the Yemei Tumasa is going to be the same. So just like Yemei Tumasa ain't don't count for the minion. Af Yemei Chalutai ain't it's the same thing with Yemei Chalutai. Shouldn't count towards the Nazir days. Meaning it's a binyan av. Right, which is saying, well, they seem to be similar. So since they're similar, let's compare them all the way through. So Gemara says, "No, you can't compare them because if it's in the days of tumah, shekema vatal behenas hakoyim, by you made tumasai of he becomes tamei mace, it knocks off all the days that he already counted towards his nizirus, which is a big chumrah. Lefikach ein oil minion. So if the original days he kept as a nazir is erased, so then avada, the 7 days he's keeping to become tar, is not going to count. Time remains chalutai, but when he's locked up, she'ein mavatal hasakoyim, when a matzayra does not lose, it just his nazirus gets paused. He does not lose his original days. But maybe it does count towards the minion, those 7 days. So that can't be. So then Amrit. So maybe we have a different way to learn it out. Uman Nazir bekever, a Nazir who became a Nazir in the cemetery, that his hair, he's supposed to get a haircut. But for him, those 7 days, do not count towards a minyan. Yemei chalutoi she'ein roi l'tiglachas, the days of tzaras when he's not going to get a haircut, like kol shekain she'ein oil lemin minyan. Isn't it a kol shekain that it's not going to count? Right? Meaning a nazir who became tamei, his hair is going to be shaved because that's the din of a nazir. Right? But a Matzaira is not. Meaning he's going to be shaved for tzaras. He's not going to be shaved al nazir. Right? So therefore, and if it doesn't count for the guy who's going to be shaved al nazir, for sure it shouldn't count towards a guy who's not going to be shaved al nazir. So the Gemara says, my love, tiglachas tumah. Are we not talking about shaving the head because of the tumah? So you see that a guy who's standing in a cemetery is going to have to shave his head because of the tumah. So the Gemara says, no, like tiglachas tahara. We're talking about not the haircut that the nazir has to take when he's tamei. We're talking about the haircut that he has to take when after his nizirus, right? Which is totally different. So the Gemara says, hachanam mistavra, and that makes sense too. I'm talking about Aleph. These are tiglachas tumah, because if you say that we're talking about tiglachas tumah, you make halute milay boy tiglachas. So then after tzaras, it's also a tumah, right? But tzaras is considered a tumah, and tamei mace for a nazir is also considered a tumah. So you make halute milay boy tiglachas. Does it also not need tiglachas? So our answer is like tiglachas the nizirus katani. Tiglachas is we're talking about tiglachas of nizirus. So therefore, we don't know if this whole, meaning basically we can't learn anything out from this braysa. We can't learn out from this braysa that you do have to wait. That the week of tzaras, of waiting for the tzaras to heal, counts towards the nizirus count, and we don't have a raya that it will not count. Right? Yeah, okay, I guess we'll stop over here.
Tomorrow, Shabbos. We have to do share times.
What time is like benching Naftali? I'll ask you, okay?
When Naftali gets it later, he's going to be in Muncie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But over here, Lich benching is 5:05 and Oy Shabbos is 6:36, 72 minutes. So 5:05 of ours is Lich benching.
Okay, thank you.
1 second. So you 5:06.
5:05. Okay.
Yeshiva Agui said 5:06.
Okay, fine. I'm in Muncie, so I have it later.
4. Let's start 4:20. What did we do last week?
I can tell you what we did last week.
All right. No, 4:20 and 1 second.
6:36.
6:36. So 4:20 and 7 o'clock. Showing
7 o'clock is. I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you're not gonna make it anyways.
Why not? You don't think I had enough of my family after the whole Shabbos? We did last week 4:15 and 7 o'clock.
Okay, so 4:20 and 7 o'clock. We'll push you to 7:05.
I should do